Well, get ready. You're going to hear a whole lot about a CR out of Washington, D.C. It's a continuing resolution. I was going to come up for a whole list of funny things that CR could stand for, but actually nothing's funnier than continuing resolution. All it does is keep the government funded a little while longer while they debate and figure out the next big budget. Usually, this is utilized as a big hot potato politically. When Democrats are in charge, Republicans don't want to go along with it, and they threaten a government shutdown that eventually everyone will blame the Republicans for. When Republicans are in charge, as they are now, Democrats don't want to go along with it, and then they threaten a government shutdown that eventually everyone will blame Republicans for. That's how this game is always played. And so now here we have CNN with Congressman Tim Burchett trying to nail him down and threaten him with a government shutdown and how awful this is going to be. Even though you can see the game a mile away, the Democrats have been plotting and planning this. They're the ones, no matter what, that want to keep this thing going to a shutdown because they think they'll benefit politically. But understand the irony here. Their biggest beef right now with the Trump administration is that there have been people fired from government agencies, and there's been defunding of agencies that has rendered some federal workers, mostly temporary probationary federal workers, on the unemployment line and put them out of work. They're trying to be the champion of these employees. And yet they're forcing a government shutdown over that issue that would then make 90% of the federal workforce laid off. You think about that for a minute and explain the logic to me. In the meantime, let's go to Caitlin Collins and Congressman Burchett.
I counted, and you have voted against at least 38 different federal budget resolutions in your time on the Hill. Why would you vote yes now?
There's actual cuts in there the first time.
It has nothing to do with the fact that if you vote no, it could shut the government down?
I voted to we've shut the government down multiple times.
But the margin is smaller this time. And if, right now there's one hard no vote, Thomas Massey. I don't know of any definite no's. And we see people go from hard no to yes, sometimes pretty quickly.
Very quick.
So why would you vote yes this time if typically you vote against something like this? Because
this is the first time since I've been in Congress that we've decreased the size of government, literally. And if you add interest in, it's even more. Inflation in. It's even more, but it's several billion. I think it's around $20 or $30 billion, but it's a start.
So it doesn't bother you that essentially what you would be voting for, though, are spending levels that were agreed to by President Biden and
Nancy Pelosi,
Chuck Schumer.
I don't like that one bit, but it is a reduction. And to shut the government down, I think just being politically, the Democrats would talk. They would. This shows the game of politics. The Democrats before, when we were shutting the government down. This is the worst thing that ever happened. It's the Republicans' fault. But now they're going to shut it down. They're not going to vote for the CR, which is almost at the same levels as they passed under Schumer and Pelosi. And now that it's on us, it's like, this is the worst thing in the world. And it's just a game back and forth. That's all it is.
That's correct. That is all it is. And you got to love Caitlin Collins just dying, just you're twisting herself into a pretzel to try to formulate some sort of gotcha here. But there's two things that she doesn't quite understand. The first is, yes, as Congressman Burchett said, for the first time, we literally just reduced the size of government. For the first time ever, the size of government has been reduced. Now, it's been entirely from the executive branch, but it obviously shows that there is an appetite to do more and get more done. And understand this is a continuing resolution. In other words, we've been talking about this reconciliation bill that they're working on that's going to extend the Trump tax cuts, maybe get some more tax cuts, but then also make very real cuts and modifications to the federal budget to finally start reducing its footprint. And that includes cuts at the Pentagon, which Republicans generally are not very in favor of, but also getting rid of a lot of the waste and the fraud that we've already seen just in the first 6 weeks here. So Tim Burchett knows that this is literally a continuing resolution, means let's keep it going until we get the big bill that we're waiting for. That's the reconciliation bill. But Caitlin Collins isn't interested in delivering facts and information like I just did to you for her audience at CNN. Her role in this interview that you just saw was to somehow try to trap a Republican in hypocrisy. Every single question was, well, you didn't vote for these before. Why are you doing it now? Doesn't it bother you that you're basically keeping the spending that Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden agreed to? And of course it does. But this is just an interim stop measure, Gab, because you know that we're working on a big bill right now. And that's going to change everything. And that will not be a Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer bill. She knows that. And if she doesn't know that, she should be fired for stupidity. But see, again, the point is not to better inform the audience. The point is to trap a Republican in some sort of gotcha moment and hypocritical moment. Luckily, Tim Burchett from the Oversight Committee is too smart for that, too measured, and too even keeled for it. I don't know why he keeps going on these shows other than to give me a clip to play and point out how bad Caitlin Collins is. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, took to his podium at the press conference. This was just earlier this morning, Kevin, I believe it was. And he pretty much reiterated exactly what Tim Burchett said. And he prepared you, the American people, and our viewers for exactly what you're about to see. The Democrats playing the exact game that I just described. When they're in charge, Republicans don't vote for it. Republicans caused a government shutdown. When Republicans are in charge, Democrats don't vote for it. Republicans caused a government shutdown. It's heads I win, tails you lose. And the media, people like Caitlin Collins and CNN, well, they're all too happy to play along.
They're planning to vote down this simple bill. They are going to try to shut the government down. Every House Democrat will participate in this. It looks like that would be a shame if it's true. I hope some of them will have a moment of clarity themselves and do the right thing, but it looks like they're going to try to shut down the government. It's a striking new posture for Democrats who have always said they've just been apoplectic about the prospect of government shutdowns. I put a video out about an hour ago on social media. I encourage you to go see that. This is they have in their own words. You don't need to trust us on this. But Catherine Clark, here's one little zinger from her, quote, "Not only is it irresponsible and purposefully misleading, but it's also a dangerous precedent to be threatening a shutdown," unquote. Now remember, this is in last year, years past. Pramila Jayapal, quote, "The tragedy here is all the civilian employees. It's the employees who are going to suffer," unquote. AOC, quote, "It is not normal to hold 100,000 workers' paychecks hostage. It is not normal to shut down the government when we don't get what we want," unquote. I don't think I've ever agreed with her before. She's exactly right. Jerry Nadler said, quote, "Shutdown is really an extremist policy designed to appeal to an extremist base and hold the whole country hostage." Yeah, we agree. So they and all their colleagues need to do the right thing. Democrats have been insisting they're fighting for federal workers. You're about to see, again, on vivid display, very clear the contrast. You will see one team that is working to fund the government and make sure we do the responsible thing. And you're going to see another posing the CR because they've now exposed the truth. They're not for federal workers. They're not for anyone. All the people they've said in the past that are going to be harmed would be by their votes. They're using federal employees as props. They're using Medicaid benefits and Social Security checks as cudgels in this thing. The threat of government shutdown, they're using it as some sort of attempt to wrestle power away from the president of the United States, who overwhelmingly won the popular vote, the Electoral College, in every single swing state. Here's the bottom line. If congressional Democrats refuse to support this clean CR, they will be responsible for every troop who misses a paycheck, for every flight delay from reduced staffing at TSA, for every negative consequence that comes from shutting down the government.
That's correct. And I just want to point out one other visual. This vote is coming up. It hasn't happened yet, has it, Kevin? I just checked, and I don't think it has. The vote is coming up today, and Johnson can only afford to lose one vote, I think, which he probably already has with Massey, who never votes for these things. But I do want to point out something. You can see Majority Leader Scalise in the baby blue tie there. He looks good, doesn't he? Scalise is just down to his fighting weight now. He looks good. The tall gentleman there to the speaker's right with the yellow tie, you can't really make out his face right now with the beard. That is Congressman Andy Harris from Maryland. Why is that important? Why is the fact that Harris is the person flanking him to his right, ironically, the speaker in this picture? Why is it important and relevant that he's standing in this frame? See, this is why you watch this show. He is a Republican from Maryland, which is a rare bird. I'm one of them too. He's also the chairman of the Freedom Caucus. Freedom Caucus are the sort of Tea Party wing of the Republicans in the House who hold firm on budget issues, on spending issues, on continuing resolutions. They're the toughest nut to crack in trying to herd the cats to get them to fight. I would think Chip Roy, think some of these other Republicans who are reluctant to go along with these bills if they continue the reckless spending that we've seen over the years. The fact that Speaker Johnson was politically savvy enough to have Andy Harris, and the fact that Chairman Harris wanted to be in this shot, that sends a message to all those Republicans in the Freedom Caucus. Now, that doesn't mean, listen, the Freedom Caucus Republicans sort of go their own way. That doesn't mean they're all going to fall in line. But keep an eye on that, because that's a very important visual. From my eye watching this over the years, that's a very important visual. Did you hear Speaker Johnson say that he put out a video showing the hypocrisy of these Democrats, and he posted it on his social media accounts? Yeah, I heard that too. He suggested that we all go look at it. Well, don't go anywhere. No. You don't need to. Oh, I got it. Of course I got it. Let's take a look.
We believe in governance. We want to keep government open. A shutdown is very serious.
There are real consequences when the government shuts down. It harms our national security, it harms our economy, and it harms service members, veterans, retirees, and vulnerable communities.
We all know a shutdown is unnecessary and completely avoidable.
The tragedy here is all the civilian employees. It is the American people who are going to suffer.
Border Patrol agents will not be paid. TSA agents will not be paid. Small businesses will be hurt.
Not only is it irresponsible and purposely misleading, it is dangerous precedent to be threatening a shutdown.
I'm worried about our air controllers, those in the military. We have almost 40,000 in the military, as well as personnel who work in the military, and they won't have checks. I mean, this is real.
There are real people's lives at stake.
It is not normal to hold 800,000 workers' paychecks hostage. It is not normal to shut down the government when we don't get what we want.
Our troops deserve better. Our children deserve better. And the American people deserve better.
These chaos agents, they don't have a plan B. They just want to see everything burn.
Shutdown is an extremist policy designed to appeal to an extremist base and hold the whole country hostage.
So this shutdown, you know who's going to feel the pain? You know who it hurts? You.
There you go. Nice job from the Speaker's office there. All right. So there you have it. Obviously, this is hypocrisy for the Democrats. And by the way, you may be surprised for me to say, or for you to hear me say, it's kind of hypocrisy from Republicans, too. That's the thing. I'm just sick of this game on both sides of the equation. Let me be clear. It would suck if I worked for the federal government. It's my kid's in the military. She might miss a paycheck or two if this thing happens, if there is a so-called government shutdown. It does suck. Everybody will get paid. If they don't get paid right now and they have to miss a paycheck or two, which I'm sure, I mean, you're thinking, gosh, I missed a couple of paychecks. That's a bad thing. You're right. It is. Let me just say something. If you're a federal employee or if you're in the military and you've been alive for the last 20, 30 years and you haven't put money away, I'm sorry. I know this is really elitist of me to say, but if you weren't aware that the possibility is that at some point the Republicans and Democrats would fight during a budget time and that you might have to get a deferred payment, if you didn't realize that, I'm sorry. I'd say this to my own child, by the way, who might not get a paycheck if this happens. I told you should put your money away because this might happen. Now, that sucks if you're a federal employee, but guess what? You get a lot of great things being a federal employee. You get a pension that no one else on this planet gets. You get health care like no one else in this country gets. You get a lot of benefits and a lot of vacations and a lot of days off. And to be honest, other than the people in the military and some other people in law enforcement and the intelligence communities, you're getting paid a lot more than somebody in the private sector would get paid for the same job that you're doing. All right, so everybody just chill. If they pass the continuing resolution, we'll continue the bad spending of Pelosi, Schumer, and Biden until we get the Trump, Johnson, and Thune reconciliation package. And by the way, that's probably not going to be great either, but it's going to be better. And then we'll go through this fight again, and we'll get the votes, and Democrats will threaten a shutdown, and we'll have all the same rhetoric, and it's all a game. And it's just tiresome. It's boring. And now we're the Republicans, so we're on this side of shaming them for threatening a government shutdown. I don't even think it's going to happen. I think we have the votes, and we shouldn't worry about it. But I don't know about you. I get sick of it. I know you get sick of it. And one thing I think might be fun and refreshing, and maybe, I don't know, a little bit out of the ordinary and off the beaten path, is if somebody actually sits in front of you and said, this is all pretty much bullshit, which it is. But the Democrats will get all the airtime, and they'll be all over broadcast news, and they'll all be champions and celebrating the fact that they're the ones who are now shutting down the government, and they'll be heroes. And if it were Republicans, they'd be demons. That also gets tiresome, and that always goes one way. And you can thank your mainstream media for that.